Have you ever stared up at the night sky and wondered what makes those twinkling dots of light do their thing? Or maybe you've accidentally knocked over a vase and pondered why it didn't just float away. Well, we've got news for you. You're not alone. In fact, you're part of a cosmic club that's been pondering these big questions since time began. And guess who started it? None other than Sir Isaac Newton, the OG of the Cosmic Club, the dude who basically invented physics. But here's the thing. Being a member of Newton's Cosmic Club doesn't require a fancy degree or a billion-dollar lab. All it needs is a burning curiosity about the world around us. So get ready to ditch your textbooks and join us as we take you on a mind-bending journey through the cosmos to uncover the secrets that make the universe go round. We're talking gravity, light, motion, and even a little bit of math. And don't worry, we promise it won't hurt. Much like Isaac Newton, we're going to make it fun, easy, and super interesting. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty of the universe, let's take a moment to appreciate the man who made it all possible. Enter Sir Isaac Newton, born in the year 1642, not exactly known for his party-friendly birth year. Newton was anything but your typical party animal. He had a rather rough start in life, you know, the usual stuff. Parents who died when he was young, an absent dad, mom remarried. But hey, at least he had his granny who stepped in to raise him. However, it's not all milk and honey. His early years were a bit of a struggle. At one point, his family even considered sending him off to live with his aunt because they couldn't afford to keep him around. Can you imagine if they had? The world might not have had one of its most brilliant minds. Luckily, Granny Newton stepped in and saved the day. As a kid, Newton was pretty much a loner. He didn't have many friends, and he spent most of his time alone. Some people might have called him a nerd, but we call him a genius. Newton was always asking questions. Why did things happen the way they did? Why did the apple fall from the tree instead of floating away? Why did the moon stay in the sky instead of crashing into the earth? These questions might seem simple to us now, but back then they were revolutionary. Newton didn't accept the status quo. He wanted to know the real deal, and that's why he came up with some of the most groundbreaking theories of all time. When Newton was in his mid-20s, he was already making waves in the scientific community. His 1665 paper on the fluence of curvilinear figures caught the attention of some big names like John Collins, a Fellow of the Royal Society. Collins, impressed by Newton's work, wasted no time in introducing him to some of the most influential scientists of the day, including the legendary scientist Robert Hooke. With his star on the rise, Newton found himself in the midst of the English scientific revolution, a time when the country was going nuts for all things science and mathematics. In fact, the Royal Society, a group of scientists founded by King Charles I back in 1660, was so impressed with Newton's work that they elected him a fellow in 1667, making him the youngest ever at the age of 25. Who needs friends when you've got awards? Then came the big leagues. In 1673, Newton was asked to give a lecture in front of the Royal Society, and let's just say he didn't disappoint. His talk on the nature of light and colors left the audience in awe, especially his demonstration of how white light can be split into a beautiful array of colors using a prism. This was the moment that catapulted Newton to international fame. People traveled from far and wide just to catch a glimpse of the brilliant young scientist, and suddenly everyone wanted a piece of the pie. In 1676, a group of French scientists led by Christian Huygens started needling Newton about his theory of light. They challenged him to explain how his ideas stacked up against their own theories. Newton, never one to back down from a challenge, took them on. It was a battle of wits, and Newton came out swinging. He fired back with explanations and demonstrations, leaving the French scientists eating dust. That's right, Newton didn't just hold his ground, he came out swinging and proved his theory of light. Now you might be wondering, What's the big deal about understanding light anyway? Well, my friend, it's a big deal, because it laid the foundation for everything else Newton accomplished. Without this breakthrough, he might not have gone on to develop his groundbreaking theories on gravity, motion, and the universe itself. In short, it was the first domino in a chain reaction that changed the course of scientific history. And then there's the famous story of Newton and the apple tree. Legend has it that while Newton was sitting under an apple tree, contemplating the mysteries of the universe, he saw an apple fall from the tree, and it hit him like a ton of bricks. The apple didn't just fall, it fell with a force that was directly proportional to its mass and inversely proportional to the square of the distance from the center of the Earth. Newton realized that the same force that pulls an apple to the ground also keeps the moon in orbit around the Earth and the Earth in orbit around the sun. This was the birth of Newton's law of universal gravitation, one of the most important laws in physics. But Newton wasn't done yet. He went on to develop 3 more laws of motion that helped us understand how objects move. His first law states that an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion with the same speed and direction unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. Think of it like this. When you're driving a car, if you take your foot off the gas, the car will eventually come to a stop because friction is an unbalanced force acting on it. Similarly, if you want to change the direction of a moving object, you need to apply a force in the opposite direction. Newton's second law explains how the force acting on an object is equal to its mass times acceleration. In simpler terms, the heavier an object is, the harder you have to push it to get it moving. For example, if you try to push a shopping cart with a full load of groceries, it will be harder to accelerate than an empty one. Newton's third law states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Basically, whenever you interact with another object, that object exerts an equal force back on you in the opposite direction. Like when you jump up, you exert a force on the ground, but the ground pushes back with an equal force, propelling you into the air. These laws may sound like complicated scientific mumbo-jumbo, but they're actually pretty simple once you break them down. Newton's laws of motion are the foundation of classical mechanics, and they are used in everything from building bridges to launching rockets into space. But Newton wasn't just a genius physicist. He was also a brilliant mathematician who invented calculus, one of the most important branches of mathematics. Now, hold up. We know what you're thinking. Math? Boring. But trust us, calculus is anything but boring. It's the language of the universe, and it can help you understand everything from the motion of planets to the growth of populations. And let's not forget about optics, the study of light and vision. Newton's work in optics revolutionized our understanding of color, reflection, and refraction. He discovered that white light is actually made up of a rainbow of colors, and he developed the first reflecting telescope, which is still used by astronomers today. Now we know what you're thinking. All this talk of physics and math and optics, it sounds like rocket science. And you know what? It kind of is. But the amazing thing is that Newton figured all this stuff out without the help of computers, the internet, or even Google. He had to rely on his own brain power and sheer determination. Over the years, Newton's work inspired generations of scientists, including Albert Einstein, Stephen Hawking, and Neil deGrasse Tyson. His discoveries have changed the way we understand the universe, and his laws of motion and gravity have helped us explore outer space and conquer new frontiers. Even today, his ideas are at the forefront of research in areas like quantum mechanics and astrophysics. So the next time you look up at the night sky or take a simple walk outside, remember that it was Isaac Newton who showed us the true beauty and wonder of the natural world. And if he can inspire us to reach for the stars, so can you. But wait, there's more. There's something else you should know about Newton. Did you know that he had a pretty good sense of humor? That's right. He wasn't just a serious scientist in a lab coat. He was a witty, sarcastic dude who knew how to make people laugh. Take this quote, for example. When someone praised him for his brilliant insights, Newton quipped, "I don't know what I may appear to the world, but I always think of myself as standing on the shoulders of giants." Basically, he was saying that he didn't think he was all that special and that he was only able to accomplish what he did because he stood on the shoulders of all the brilliant minds that came before him. It's a great quote, but it's also a humble one. Because let's face it, we all stand on the shoulders of giants. We all learn from the people who came before us, and we use their knowledge and experience to guide us in our own journeys. So the next time you feel like you're not special, or that your accomplishments aren't that impressive, remember Newton and his famous quote. You may not be standing on the shoulders of giants, you're standing on a mountain of knowledge and wisdom that has been passed down to you through the ages. And who knows, maybe one day you'll be the giant on whose shoulders someone else stands. Well, that's a wrap, folks. Thanks for joining us on this whirlwind tour of Isaac Newton's mind-blowing discoveries. From gravity to calculus and everything in between, we've covered a lot of ground. But remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole universe out there just waiting to be explored. And who knows, maybe one day you'll be the one making groundbreaking discoveries and shaping our understanding of the cosmos. Just remember to stay curious, keep asking questions, and never stop exploring. The universe is full of wonders, and it's up to us to uncover them. If you enjoyed this journey through Newton's brilliant mind, hit that like button and subscribe for more mind-blowing content. And hey, why not share it with your friends so we can keep inspiring the next generation of scientists and thinkers? Until next time, keep looking up at the stars and keep questioning the world around you. The universe is full of surprises, and you never know what you might discover.